Hello and welcome back to another episode. In the last one, we set up so that you could move your action bars around. And in today's episode, we are going to handle the enabled and see how far we can get. And what we're going to do first of all is head over into our WBP action bar settings. And we're going to select this enable checkbox and change the on state changed. Then we are going to make a new function. I'm going to call this one my update enabled action bar. It is going to have an input of a boolean called enabled, and we are going to promote that to a local, so local enabled. We're going to get our selected action bar and we're going to find the index. Do we have that here? No, we're going to make a new function just to make life easier. So get a new function up. I'm going to call that find right index based of ID game instance. Yeah, it's a shit name, I know. But it is just gonna help us. It's gonna have an input of a action bar, WBP action bar. I'm gonna call it action bar ref, and I'm gonna promote that to a local, so local action bar ref. I'm then going to get my HUD ref, get my game instance ref. That is not how you do that. Get game instance ref, and then get my action bar settings. I'm going to do a for each loop with break. And this is just so we can get our index. I'm going to break this and do a equal on the ID and check if the ID is the same as our local action bar ref, get inventory, and get ID. I'm going to branch and that goes into the break. So if it's true, we're going to break out. And into a second branch on completed. And then we're gonna return with a integer and a boolean. Index and success. If it is false, we're not gonna pass a success. If it is true, however, we are gonna pass a success, and the index is the found array index, like so. This is a pure function. Now we can head back to update enabled, and now we can, out of our selected action bar, we can do a find right index based of game instance, and we're going to check if it was a success or not. On this branch, if it's a success, then we're going to get our HUD ref, get our game instance ref, get settings, and we're going to get a reference at the index that we found. I'm going to break this open. Then we're going to get our settings once more. Going to set array element on true. The index is the found index again. I'm going to break open this item size to fit. Then we're going to plug in the local enabled into the item enabled, and then the rest just gets plugged in like so. Slot opacity, action bar scale, item position, key bindings, name enabled, name, and the rotation. And now we can call our update selected. Before we end this, we do need a false here, and we need that out of the selected. So we want a function called enabled action bar inside of our WBP action bar. So go into that and make a new function called enabled bar. In enabled bar, we're going to get settings, which we have made here. We're going to break the settings. We're going to check if it is enabled. If it is enabled, well, we're going to get a reference to self and set visibility to be visible. And if it is not, then we're going to set it to be hidden. And we can return back to action bar settings. If it is false, well, we're gonna call our enabled bar. And at the end here, we're gonna call our enabled bar and then return. So let us go into our event graph. On check state changed, we're gonna update enabled action bar, plug in the enabled like so. Get our HUD ref, get our game instance ref, and save action bars. Now if we play, I can now enable and disable. Now we haven't actually set up the bars here yet, so let's do that now. Over on bar 1 button, we're going to add a unclicked, and the same with bar 2 button, bar 3 button, bar 4 button, 5 and 6. We're going to get our HUD ref. I'm going to get action bar, get AB1. I'm going to get AB2, get AB, actually we can just do 2 at a time here because that's going to look a little bit better. And then we're going to set selected action bar on bar 1 to be that of AB1, and of bar 2 to be that of bar 2. Now we can do this exact same thing, so AB3. And then finally, we want to call our update selected action bar at the end of all of these. Now let us go to our max slots slider. So let us hit that and we're going to do a on mouse capture end. We're also going to do a on value changed. So on value changed, we want to make it a function. I'm going to call it update max slots. It is going to have an input of a float. I'm just going to call it max slots. We're going to get our selected action bar. We're going to get our inventory ref. We're going to get our slot refs. And we're going to do a for each loop. And for each of these, we're going to get the index at the array element and do a index +1. And check if that is greater than our incoming max slots. Now I can promote this to a local, so local max slots to make it a little bit more nice looking. And plug it in like so. If that is greater, then we're going into a branch. If it is greater, well, array element then, we're going to set visibility to be collapsed. And again, our array element, if it is false, then we're going to set visibility to be visible. Out of completed, we are now going to get our selected action bar, get a find right index based off game, based off ID, do a branch. If this comes out to false, we're not going to do anything, so you can honestly just return. And if it does come out as true, however, we need to get our HUD ref, get our game instance ref, and get action bar settings, set array element. The index is the found index. Size to fit, split open the item. And now we're also going to get a copy at that index. ID goes into ID, enabled into enabled. Skip the max slots and continue down because the max slots is the new incoming one. And the max slots is the local max slots, which is going to truncate itself to an integer. And then we can update selected action bar and we can return. This is our update max slots. We haven't saved anything yet, as you can see, and that is because we want to do that on mouse capture end. We don't want to spam save every time the float changes. So now we're going to get our HUD ref, get our game instance ref, save action bars, and that is it. Now we can hit play. On action bar 1, we can now change down the slots however we want. If we hit play, it's still going to be there. And of course, everything is still working as it should. Let us do one more in this video before we head off. Do the max horizontal slots. I'm going to add a on capture end and on value changed. So on value changed, we're going to add a new function. Now I think maybe yeah, we're gonna add a new function. I'm gonna call it update horizontal action bar. It's gonna have an input of a float. I'm gonna promote that to a local, so local max horizontal. That is not how you type that, but it's fine with me. We're going to get our hot ref, get our game instance ref. God damn it, I gotta stop doing that. Get our game instance ref, get our action bar settings into a for each with break. Break open this settings. Actually, we need to find if the ID is equal to the selection action bar, get inventory, get ID. If that is true, we break. Into a second branch. And out of false, we can return. Out of true, however, we're going to get our action bar settings. We're going to set array element. What are we going to set it to? Well, the index is the array index that we found here. Size to fit. Split that open. And now this is going to be messy because I should have... Yeah, I'm just going to get a copy here into the array index like so. Split this and move it around a bit like so. This does look absolutely horrible. I apologize. ID goes into ID, enabled into enabled, max slots into max slots, skip horizontal, vert pad, hor pad, opacity, action bar scale, position, key bindings, enabled, action bar name rotation. Max horizontal is our local max horizontal. It's going to truncate again. After this, we need a new function, which is going to be made at our action bar. And this one is going to be called update AB max hor. Now, update AB max hor is going to get its settings. It is going to promote that to a local, so local loaded settings. We're then going to go into our grid slot. So we need to, over on our generate inventory, we're going to make a new variable. And it's going to be called grid slots. It's going to be of type uniform grid panel uniform grid slot. Be an array. Now on each of these adding, we're going to add the return node like so that we have access to that. I'm going to go back here again to update AB max hor, and we are going to do on our grid slots, we're going to do a for each loop. To check if our index is index divided by, get our loaded settings, index divided by max horizontal slots, and then we're gonna, out of the array element, set row and set it to the value, and then we're gonna set column, right click, division, whole, and remainder. Array index goes into the dividend. Max horizontal slot is the divisor. That's going to truncate itself into the column. Now we can go back to our action bar settings. We can get our selected action bar and we can update AB max horizontal. Then we can update selected action bar. And we can return. Now if we play, let us get, let's just get this one up to max again. And now if I do max horizontals, nothing actually changes. And that is probably because we haven't actually added anything. So on our value change, we're gonna update max horizontal action bar. And on our mouse capture end, we are gonna save action bars again, like previously. Now if I play, should now be able to change it however I want. I think that is it for this episode. It's turned out quite long. In the next one, we are gonna go into our vert pad, horizontal pad, and probably even finish our slot opacity and scale. And yeah, until next time, I'll see you later. Bye bye.